This is Mac OS Ken.
Mac musings from Mark Gurman. Luxshare loses some Lux business. And another fine day for Apple in the Netherlands. It is Tuesday, the 22nd of February, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by New Relic, helping you monitor, debug, and improve your entire stack. If you're a software engineer, you know that finding a problem in your stack can be like finding a needle in a haystack. You can make it all easier with New Relic. New Relic combines 16 different monitoring products that you would normally buy separately, so engineering teams can see across their entire software stack in one place. New Relic monitors the status of software from inside. It won't dive in and fix the problem, but it will pinpoint issues down to the line of code so you know exactly where to focus your attention. That's why the developer and ops teams at Atlassian, DoorDash, GitHub, and more than 14,000 other companies use New Relic to debug and improve their software. Problems come up. Get New Relic before the next one comes up for you. And you can get access to the whole New Relic platform and 100 gigabytes of data free forever. No credit card required. Sign up at newrelic.com/macOSKen. NEWRELIC. That's newrelic.com/macOSKen. newrelic.com/macOSKen. Rumor, speculation, leaks. Hard Apple news is hard to come by coming off a Monday holiday. Not that the sources aren't reputable, it's just a bit more gelatinous than I normally like. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has guesses on the Mac front. I know they're not guesses, they're tips from sources. Either that or he has a time machine. It's just that I love alliteration. And so Gurman guesses. Citing Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter, iDownload blog says Bloomberg's guy in the know is looking for 4 new Macs before the summer. Those will likely be powered by currently unannounced and unreleased M2 Apple Silicon. Some may also be revealed during Apple's currently unannounced and unconfirmed spring product event. That's the one that's expected to feature a 5G-enabled iPhone SE, a new iPad Air, and maybe something in a Mac. According to iDownload blog, Gurman said he expected Apple to release a new baseline MacBook Pro and a redesigned MacBook Air, along with updated Mac Mini and 27-inch iMac models before this summer. The Apple reporter expects all 4 models to be outfitted with Apple's rumored M2 chip. As for what'll be first, Gurman says given that 2 of the oldest Apple Silicon Macs in the lineup today are the entry-level MacBook Pro and Mac Mini, I'd guess that those models will be next to be upgraded. To me, the weirdest thing about Gurman's predictions is the inclusion of a few more M1 machines. I mean, he's the one assuming the introduction of an M2 in the pretty near future. And yet, iDownload blog has him calling for a replacement to the Intel-based 27-inch iMac with M1 Pro and M1 Max, a new Mac Mini with Apple M1 Pro, and a half-size Mac Pro workstation with the equivalent of 2 or 4 M1 Max chips. I'm not saying that wouldn't be plenty of machine, but won't it be hard to get people to spend big money on an M1 anything once there's an M2 on the market? If talk of a half-size Mac Pro workstation turns you off, Gurman does see a full-sized Apple Silicon Mac Pro on the way. He thinks that'll have beefier processors than the current M1s or the anticipated M2s. Made for seriously hardcore developers, he is looking for those to be announced around WWDC, with shipping expected in the fall. 9to5Mac had some bad news for Luxshare on Monday. According to the site, the contract manufacturer has lost its high-end iPhone orders. The piece says Apple last year promoted Luxshare from a component supplier to an iPhone assembler, including some iPhone 13 Pro units. This year, though, anything Pro is a no-go for Luxshare. Citing a report from the Chinese language United News Digital, 9to5Mac says Luxshare orders will probably be limited to the base model iPhone 14. Why do they think so? Because iPhone 14 is said to be in trial production, and Luxshare's not on that list. You know, I might have buried the lead. iPhone 14 is said to be in trial production, by the way. Also, Luxshare looks locked out of the Lux end of the line. A lot of alliteration from a playful podcaster. Feels kind of early to be talking about iPhone 14 production. Again, though, this is trial production, making sure things will go together when it's time to put a bunch of them together. 9to5Mac says there are 4 main goals in trial production. Test the planned assembly process to identify any problems encountered, spot opportunities for improving efficiency, collect data, such as the number of units produced per hour, and establish a suitable quality monitoring process. As for why missing out on Pro production is bad news for Luxshare, just as the Pro phones cost consumers more money than the lower-end models, contract manufacturers make more money making higher-end devices. Again, though, it's early, and this whole thing could be wrong. If you're wondering about Luxshare's plans for the future, nerd! But it's a slow day, so I'll tell you anyway. A piece from Apple Insider says the company is planning to set up new production lines aimed at smart wearable devices, mobile terminal components, and high-voltage connection systems for vehicles. More than one article I saw said Luxshare was eyeing Apple Watch production, though that appears to be a guess based on the company's continuing relationship with Apple. And seriously, who wouldn't want to be in on more Apple production? The only thing standing between Luxshare's dream and reality? About $2 billion. Citing a Reuters report, Apple Insider says the company plans to issue as many as 2.1 billion shares to as many as 35 investors to raise the do-re-mi. More news in a moment, but first a word from Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. If you have multiple credit card balances each month and are only paying the minimums, it can be discouraging. You're paying and barely making a dent in your overall debt. Upstart can help you pay off your existing debt quickly so you can feel like you're finally getting ahead. Upstart knows you are more than just your credit score. So rather than looking at just your credit score, their model considers other factors like your income, employment, and other information provided in your loan application to find a smarter rate for your loan. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in just 5 minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. See why over 1 million people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/macOSKen. UPSTART. That's upstart.com/macOSKen. Don't forget to use my URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/macOSKen. Yesterday was Monday, which means another 5 million euros from Apple to the Netherlands. Since the end of last year, Apple and Holland have been in a back-and-forth battle over payments in the App Store, Specifically, the country has said that Apple has to allow dating apps in the App Store to accept third-party payments. When Apple failed to do that quickly, the country said it would fine Apple €5 million a week, either until Apple met the country's conditions or they hit €50 million, the maximum allowed for the perceived infraction under Dutch law. It's not that Apple's done nothing. The company did outline how it planned to implement the third-party payment demands. The plans did not go over great with the Dutch, though. Apple Insider had the Netherlands Authority for Consumers and Markets, or ACM, saying in a statement on Monday, "We have clearly explained to Apple how they can comply. So far, however, they have refused to put forward any serious proposals, and thus was another €5 million fine levied." If you've lost track, we are halfway to the famed €50 million. No word what happens then, except that Apple tries to claw that money back. When the company initially agreed to allow third-party payments for dating apps in the App Store in Holland, it did say that it planned to appeal the ACM's decision. Apple Pay Express Transit is slowly making its way to the Hexagon. IMOR says Île-de-France Mobilité, the regional authority over transport in France, has announced plans to test Apple's easy-to-use transit pay functionality for Apple Wallet on iPhone and Apple Watch, and that test will happen this year. For those not familiar with Apple Pay Express Transit, iMore says the feature allows people to make transit payments without the need to authenticate via Face ID, Touch ID, or passcode. It also lets users pay without touching dirty, filthy money, which was a neat thing to do before the pandemic. iMore says the service is coming to France Transport soon. Indications are that there will be a testing phase this year, followed by a partial rollout in 2023, going wider in 2024. To me, that does not sound like soon. Then again, Paris is a 2,000-year-old city, so a couple of years is really not that long by local standards. And finally today, Apple is eyeing another outpost in Samsung's backyard. 9 to 5 Mac highlights Michael Stieber's latest Tabletops newsletter that has the Cupertino company hiring for a planned store in eastern Seoul, South Korea. For those not keeping track at home, writes Stieber, that makes 2 brand new stores coming to Seoul in the near future. Positions for a different store near the city center opened last July. These new locations will reach new heights in architecture and double Apple's store count in South Korea. Yes, that'll bring it to a total of 4. No word yet on exact locations for the new stores, and of course no word on when they'll open their doors. It makes sense since we don't even know where those doors will be. I know we're past the holiday weekend, but did you check out Lincoln's Dilemma on Apple TV+. I caught the first episode of the 4-episode documentary, and I'm really looking forward to the rest. The information is great, and the style is interesting. Stylized. Engaging, I would say. All 4 episodes are available now, assuming the rest is as good as the beginning. 2 thumbs up, and lots of stars. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by New Relic, helping you monitor, debug, and improve your entire stack. Learn more and get started at newrelic.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Upstart, fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.